Executive Director of Snohomish County Sports Commission. Tammy is leading the charge for Snohomish County in preparation for the World Cup. And Tammy has been an incredible leader in our community for a long, long time. And welcome, Tammy.
Thank you, Ray. It's a pleasure to be here. Again, my name is Tammy Dunn. I'm the Executive Director of the Snohomish County Sports Commission. The Snohomish County Sports Commission is the sports destination management organization for Snohomish County. And we'll be working with the county, cities, tourism and hospitality industry, the local businesses within Snohomish County to prepare our communities for the Seattle FIFA World Cup 2026. And before we get to our panelists, just do a high-level overview. Over 2 years ago, it was announced that Seattle would be one of the hosts for the FIFA World Cup 2026. Recently, Visit Seattle initially projected a $929 million in economic impact to King County. Spokane Gonzaga University and the Sounders Clubhouse in Renton were selected as potential host locations for an international team base camp. And then last week, Seattle FIFA World Cup 2026 announced 9 additional fan zones selected throughout the state of Washington. City of Everett was selected as one of the 9 additional fan zones. And today marks 505 days from Seattle FIFA World Cup 2026. One note I'd like to make is many people have heard about the FIFA Club World Cup, and that was announced that Seattle and Lumen Field have been selected as a host venue for the Club World Cup 2025, and these 6 soccer matches will be in June later this year. So let's get started with hearing from our panelists. First, I'd like to introduce Dylan Ordonez. He's the Director of Government and Community Affairs Consultant with the Seattle FIFA World Cup 2026. And the Seattle FIFA World Cup 2026 is the local organizing committee tasked with organizing and executing the FIFA World Cup 2026 matches in Seattle. And Dylan will give us an overview of the World Cup and the Seattle FIFA World Cup. Welcome, Dylan.
Good morning. Thank you, Tammy, and thank you, EASC for having us today and pulling everybody together to talk about this huge occasion. Yes, 505 days from now. Tammy, thank you also for pointing out that the FIFA Club World Cup this upcoming summer is not FIFA World Cup 2026. That is separate. We are not part of organizing that event. That is being led by FGI and the Sounders. We are World Cup 2026 with nations versus clubs this upcoming summer. So I only have, I think, 7 or 8 minutes, so I'm going to dive right into it and start my presentation here. Give us a good baseline on what we're talking about. So Seattle World Cup 2026, getting Washington ready. We have a few different organizations here, so I want to make sure everybody's clear on who's doing what. FIFA World Cup 2026 is responsible for running the event and coordination across the continent and everything inside the stadium. That is FIFA. Seattle FWC 26, as Tammy mentioned, we are the local organizing committee. We are the entity that has been created solely for the purpose of planning and executing these matches on behalf of the city of Seattle as an official host city for World Cup 2026. So we're lead for local planning and non-FIFA logistics activations and fundraising. We also partner with our governments who will provide typical government services and many partners and vendors across the area to make sure this event is a success. We are taking on these areas of responsibility. Some examples include safety and mobility. These matches have to be safe and secure, and people need to be able to move around. There are going to be a lot of people coming to visit the state of Washington in the summer of 2026. We're also leading with legacy and want to ensure that we are not just hosting 6 matches. We are using this as an opportunity to leverage good in our communities, lasting impact for decades to come. We want to make sure that today's 8-year-old remembers this in 2046, the impact of the experience of Washington hosting the World Cup. So the tournament itself begins on June 11th, 2026. in Mexico City, and it ends on July 19th in New York, New Jersey. Or I guess I need to update that. It's 505 days away. There'll be 104 matches with 48 teams across 3 host countries and 16 cities. This is a 50% increase from Qatar in 2022, when the tournament had 32 teams. So they've expanded the tournament, and it's also across an entire continent. There are 11 host cities in the United States, of which Seattle is one. And 50% of the fans that are going to be coming here be coming from abroad. Here is our match schedule. Seattle, again, has 6 matches. We have 4 group stage matches beginning on June 15th. June 19th, Juneteenth, we will be hosting the United States men's national team that Friday. It's a huge responsibility, huge opportunity. We are one of only 2 host cities to be guaranteed a United States men's national team match, the other being Los Angeles, and that's where their base camp. So the world will absolutely be watching on Juneteenth, 2026. 2 more group stage matches on the 24th and 26th of June, kicking off Pride weekend. And then we have a round of 32 match on July 1st and a round of 16 match on July 6th. You can also see Vancouver, BC. You can see their matches overlaid with ours and how most of them are staggered. There are two days where we will have matches at the same time. So, you know, Everett, you all are in Snohomish County, you all are well aware, as is Bellingham. There are going to be a lot of people traveling back and forth between Vancouver, BC and Seattle. So again, huge opportunity for you all in particular in this corridor. I just touched a little bit on this. We'll have 13 matches between our 2 cities. Proposed team base camps, as Tammy mentioned. The Sounders facility in Renton and Gonzaga University out in Spokane have both been selected to be in the menu for nations to choose from as a team base camp. This is where a team will come live, probably up to 3 weeks ahead of the beginning of the tournament. So we won't know who those teams are if either venue gets selected, probably until early 2026. We also, as Tammy mentioned, just announced our 9 fan zones across the state. We're very excited that Everett, Snohomish County will be a fan zone. We have always maintained that this event is of statewide significance, and you know, not everybody's going to be able to get into Lumen Field. Not everybody's going to be able to come to Seattle Center for our big fan celebration. And so we want to make sure that we are providing as much opportunity as possible for the people of the state to feel a part of this event, to feel like they are experiencing World Cup 2026. So we're very happy and proud to be partnering with these cities and with these areas to bring that experience to folks. With 6 matches, we expect over 2 billion people globally to see Seattle and Central Puget Sound and the state of Washington. The least watched World Cup match has you know, millions, I think 200 million viewers globally, and that's more than the Super Bowl. So, you know, for the United States men's national team match, it's, I would imagine, going to be at least double that. And then you have our round of 32 and round of 16 knockout rounds. There are going to be a lot of people watching Seattle and watching Washington. We're also expecting up to 750,000 fans traveling to the area, up to 750,000 people. World Cup fans are different. They're not coming for the match. They're coming to experience being in a host city. This is going to be their vacation. They're not coming for, you know, a Taylor Swift concert and then leaving, or a Seahawks game and then leaving. They're spending their time here. So apologies for the dog in the background. She's very excited about the World Cup as well. Tammy mentioned the preliminary economic impact that our friends at Visit Seattle did. $929 million of total economic impact, supporting nearly 21,000 jobs. You can see the direct spending there as well. And total state and local taxes generated is a very large number. Again, just want to make sure we're all clear on the magnitude of this event that is coming to our state. We are working with on a small business toolkit when it comes to small business readiness. You can see kind of the tiers that we're working on here. We're working very closely with our stadium district neighborhoods, as they are right there impacted by this event. going out to working with our businesses in King County and then also statewide. And the toolkit will be for businesses across the state to review and hopefully be a helpful item to prepare for 2026. We're going to have training and marketing for businesses statewide and statewide small business grants to be distributed by existing mechanisms if we are successful in securing dollars from the state this session. We are supporting local workers. With large events comes the unfortunate reality that there may be some abuses. So we are working to prevent and mitigate those abuses. We have a human rights advisory committee. We're working closely with our friends in labor. We have signed a labor harmony agreement with Lumen Field. Very proud of that, as well as a labor agreement with our Seattle Center for our fan celebration. And we're working on workforce development, training, and recruitment for high demand event related jobs. Statewide activations, touched on all this a little bit already, but we're gonna have our big fan celebration at Seattle Center. We're gonna have include a locally made zone to showcase local small and BIPOC businesses. I've mentioned the fan zones, again, very excited about that. In addition to the small business playbook, we will also have another community playbook for folks to organize events on their own if they'd like. So there's a lot more. But I'm going to try to be very disciplined and stay on time on the agenda. So I'm going to end my presentation there. And thank you all for the opportunity to be here to present, to give you just kind of a frame of reference, a flavor for what this event is. Just very fortunate to have great partners in Snohomish County, City of Everett, with Mayor Franklin and Executive Summers, Tammy at the Snohomish County Sports Commission, invaluable. So thank you all for hearing me out today and for all the work we're going to do together to make sure that we can all take advantage of this tremendous opportunity in 505 days.
Great. Thank you, Dylan. Now I would like to introduce Juan Higuera, the Executive Strategic Advisor with Sound Transit, and he will give us a Sound Transit transportation overview with an update on preparations for the Seattle FIFA World Cup 2026.
Thank you, Tammy, and thank you for hosting us in this conversation. Definitely an important piece of getting ready for World Cup. So give me a second as I share my screen. And you're able to see my screen, correct?
Yes.
All right, so thank you, everyone. As Tammy said, I'm Juan Higuera. I'm a strategic advisor with Sound Transit, and I am the World Cup lead for the agency in getting us ready for this big event. So as we prepare for a large number of folks coming to the region to experience the World Cup, one of the goals that we have, or the main goal that we have, is to ensure that we're providing high quality service, seamless service, and convenient service, not only to those coming to town, but our existing riders, right? Making sure that they're informed and they understand how they need to prepare for this event day in and day out over the month that the tournament will be here in Seattle. I wanted to start off by kind of talking about what are we assuming will be in place by the time the World Cup is here, because this will be an important element of what do we need to do on top of that. So for our Link Light Rail system, which recently expanded into Snohomish County and over to Linwood, and it's been a huge success, we are expecting that the one line currently serving Linwood is going to extend all the way to Federal Way by the time the World Cup is here. Our two line, which currently is only operational on the east side, we do expect that to be over the lake and all the way up to Linwood as well. For Sounder, for the south line, we are expecting that we will have the 13 round trips that we currently have today. And we are providing some upgrades at Sumner Station, expanding the garage by the time the World Cup is here. And for the North Line, as you may be aware, we expanded the service back to 4 round trips this past fall. So we are anticipating that will be in place by the World Cup. And for our express bus service, we're going to look at what routing and efficiencies can be made as the different extensions open, similar to what we did when Linwood opened last year. So again, those are our baseline assumptions that we're starting with. So internally, we have a large body of work to prepare for this event that focuses from the operational side, making sure that we understand what additional service we can provide, confirming service levels and service plans for all of our modes, not just Link, and making sure that we're providing enough capacity throughout the region. We're, as I said earlier, making sure that we're completing our Link Light Rail extensions and some of our standard capital program. In order to make sure that folks coming to town and those are currently using the system, we want to develop a passenger experience and communication plan that talks about how are we going to use different tools to get the word out, and how are we going to make sure that wayfinding and signage during the event gets people to where they need to go. So that'll be incorporated into our passenger experience and communications plan. Fares is a big element of this tournament. We've been having conversations about what that looks like, whether we integrate applications with our fare system or ticketing as well. And if there's any opportunities on that front, so more to come there. We do have some state of good repair projects throughout the system. As you may be aware, we currently had this past weekend some disruptions in the corridor, in the downtown area, making sure that we're preparing and ready the system for when we have such a large crowd coming to town. And obviously, part of this whole effort is moving large amounts of crowds efficiently and effectively. And so safety and security is a big part of that. Crowd control will be huge at some of our critical stations. You may have seen what we kind of did with Linwood opening, kind of metering folks coming in and out of the station. And we do that for the Huskies game as well at UW Station. So we're going to take a similar approach for the World Cup and making sure that we're ready from a safety and security perspective. So I know we're short on time, so I want to talk about some of our next steps. Obviously, continuing our internal conversations and identifying opportunities, not only for 2026, but for 2025. Are there any elements that we can test and pilot in 2025 to make sure that we're preparing effectively? Obviously, attending some of the conversations that the local organizing committee is hosting, attending some of these forums to build partnerships in preparation for the World Cup that can help inform what we do and prepare with internally. And we will begin presenting to our board of directors this spring, timing TBD, but we do expect to share more information at those forums moving forward. So with that was a high-level overview of what Sound Trans is working on and making sure that we're preparing for the World Cup. So look forward to the Q&A session. Tammy, back to you.
Great. Thank you, Juan. Now I'd like to introduce Tyler Chisholm, Placemaking Manager with the City of Everett, and he will talk more about what the Seattle FIFA World Cup 2026 means to the City of Everett. Tyler.
Good morning, everybody. Just pulling up my screen share here. Tammy, can you do me a solid and confirm that you can see my presentation full screen?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with you all. My name is Tyler Chisholm. I'm the Placemaking Program Manager for the City of Everett, and I'm one of the team members here at Everett that is working to plan for World Cup 2026. I want to start with a key takeaway. So if you only take away one thing today from my presentation, let it be this: that we're building a winning project team and game plan so that when World Cup is here in 505 days, we can absolutely nail it. And we want to nail it. Obviously, World Cup is the largest global sporting event. This creates rare economic and cultural opportunities for us because we're located between two host cities, Seattle and Vancouver, BC. Thousands upon thousands of people will be here. They'll spend nearly $1 billion while they're here. And we are so here for it. We're going to be great hosts. And last week it was announced that Everett is going to be a fan zone. We're going to have a great party. Well, I'll share why this matters to Everett, and it matters for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of opportunity here, and I want to highlight 4 of them. The first one is that we're going to be a global destination. Visitors from across the world will stay, dine, explore, spend money. And we love tourism. tourism is primary spending, meaning people from outside of the community are bringing their money into the community and leaving it behind. This will be significant revenue for our local businesses, local governments, and our whole community. And we're just grateful for that. There's a great opportunity for cultural impacts and to unify through soccer. Soccer is the most played sport. It's one of the most adapted sports for people of all abilities. And this really allows us to align with our vision of One Everett. And then we're really, really excited about the potential legacy building opportunities, meaning inspiring youth sports, partnering with youth sports, and improving public spaces. So those opportunities manifest into a vision, and our vision is this, that Everett becomes a soccer city. And I know there's some people on this call that are like, Everett's already a soccer city. We have wonderful soccer here. But I mean like a soccer city in the way that we're a baseball city, that we're a hockey city, that we're a football city. This is a catalyst opportunity for us to really grow and develop into a bona fide soccer city. So as we work towards this vision, we set some principles. Here's 5 of them. We want to grow a lasting soccer culture through partnerships and programming that will foster soccer traditions well beyond 2026. We're going to maximize the positive impacts. We're going to spread the economic and community love across the entire city and out into the whole Snohomish County region. We're going to make this fun. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for us to have a huge party, and we're going to do it. We're going to support and grow youth soccer programs. We're going to inspire youth to lead an active and team-oriented lifestyle. Sports are just like one of the best ways for young people to develop teamwork skills and empathy. And then we're going to engage Everett's diverse cultures. As I said, soccer is the most played sport in the world. It's universally loved. It is one of the most adapted sports. It's a great way for our communities to come together, to interact, and socialize. So I'll close with next steps and how you can get involved. And so this is like this is a 30,000 square foot high level overview of our project roadmap. 3 phases: build the team, engage with the community, and create and implement the game plan. Right now we are nearly finished building the team. There's actually 2 teams. One is going to be sort of a county-wide team that's led by the Sports Commission. This will have cities, public agencies, tourism folks, marketing folks, hospitality folks, infrastructure. We'll also have a team just for planning our Everett fan zones. From there, the teams will go out and engage with the community, learn what the community wants to see and what the community doesn't want to see, and how we can spread the benefits for everybody. Then we will put this all together in a game plan that will look at everything from emergency management to marketing to hospitality to infrastructure to our fan zones. We're going to implement that game plan 505 days, and we're absolutely going to nail it. So here's how you can get involved now. First, just stay tuned. The Sports Commission, the city, the county will all have information on our websites. Tammy may speak to this more, but I envision that the Sports Commission will lead a lot of those industry and kind of public agency, that internal information. And then I believe Visit Everett, the city's destination marketing organization, and the county's destination marketing organization, Seattle North Country, will focus a lot on that tourism and experiential storytelling. Please participate in our forums and our surveys when we start leading those. Help spread the word so everybody can participate in those. I would say if you're a public agency or a tourism folk, we need to be talking like now. And so we'll be reaching out to you. And then if you have ideas now, get them into the mix. You can email me, tchisholm@everettwa.gov. I'll get them over to the whole planning team, and we'll add you to an email list so you can stay informed and join the fun. So with that, I just want to thank everybody, and I'll be here for questions.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. And our last speaker today, I'd like to introduce Jay-Z Golden. He's a legislative director for Congressman Rick Larsen, who is the U.S. House Representative, Washington's 2nd Congressional District. Jay-Z will give us an update on the soccer caucus and preparing for the World Cup in Congress.
Thanks for that introduction. Tammy, can you confirm that I am on full screen right now?
Yes, you are.
Terrific. Well, hi, everyone. It's really great to be on that call. I know Representative Larson would prefer to be here himself if you were not on the way from Washington State back to Washington, D.C. One of the nice things about going last is that folks have covered a lot of the important stuff already, so I will breeze through real quick. Yeah, so largest sporting event in U.S. history. This is a map you've seen already, but I want to emphasize Dylan's point that this is about more than just matches, and it's about more than just spectators. Folks come for the experience. Soccer fans are a different breed. Global soccer fans are a different breed. By one estimate that I've seen from previous World Cups, half of all the people who come to the United States for the World Cup will not even have tickets to a match. They are coming for the fan zones. They are coming to explore a city and a country that they have heard about and have never been to. So that's a really exciting opportunity. Data on our region, excuse me, I'm gonna skip through this. And I'll bring you to Rep. Larson's work. Representative Larson is the co-chair of the Bipartisan Congressional Soccer Caucus, which is a group of members from all over the country who are interested in soccer, in its potential for youth, in access to soccer, and soccer and what it means economically for our communities. So briefly, some of the work that we've been doing in Congress, which predates not just Seattle being selected as a World Cup host, but even the United States being United States, Canada, and Mexico being selected, is raising awareness. Soccer is really big in the Pacific Northwest, but there are other parts of the country where soccer is not as big a sport, and we work to promote the sport itself. Last year, we worked to pass a bipartisan commemorative coin bill. I will be honest, I did not quite realize the importance of this, but every time the U.S. hosts a major global sporting event, a commemorative coin is important for collectors and raises money for some of those legacy programs that we've talked about. We're pleased that that bill passed a very divided Congress with 294 co-sponsors, passed the House and Senate unanimously, and was signed into law by President Biden, which I think is a really positive sign for cooperation over the next 505 days. We're also working on a supplemental appropriations in coordination with the host cities. 625 million sounds like a lot. I promise you, when it gets spread out among host cities, host fan zones, and base camps, it's an appropriate amount of money. I just want to emphasize that that request coming from the host cities includes non-venues, i.e., places like Everett and Bellingham that are not hosting matches but are hosting important parts of the World Cup. Other national issues that the Soccer Caucus is working on is visa processing. This is really important because all the data, all the numbers that we've heard so far today about economic impact, about visitors, about tourism, that all depends on the ability of soccer fans from all over the world to come here, to watch the matches, to support their teams and spend their money. And that means visa processing. So that's where the local, the state, city, and the federal have to work really well together. There's some real challenges in this too. There are 43 countries nationwide that are worldwide that are part of the visa waiver program, meaning that visitors from those countries don't need visas for a short-term tourist visit. Some of those countries will definitely make the World Cup. A lot of them are in Europe, but there's going to be a lot of countries where a visitor would have to go to an embassy or a U.S. embassy or consulate to interview to get a short-term visa. In some countries, that's a very short process. I think we all expect Brazil will make the World Cup. I checked online yesterday. You wait about 30 days for an interview in Rio. But in Bogota in Colombia, the wait time is 700 days. We know it's 505 days out from the World Cup. So that's a problem. Those are problems that need to be solved with resources, with awareness and creativity. There's also some country-specific issues too. A larger World Cup going from 32 to 48 teams means we don't know who's going to qualify. We never do, but you could certainly see the potential that countries with where the U.S. has a stricter visa policy, could qualify. So if Iran qualifies for the World Cup, if North Korea qualifies for the World Cup, how do we make sure that we are an appropriate and safe host for visitors from those countries as well? That ties in, I'm going to jump a bullet here to a new administration. Today is day 1 or day 2, so there's a lot of awareness to be done, a lot of bipartisan cooperation. The new administration has designated a assistant secretary at the State Department who's in charge of not just hosting the World Cup, but the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028. So seeing that this administration builds on the work from both the Biden administration and the first Trump administration in preparing to host these. I'll also add that some of the security issues that we've talked about for Seattle, for Everett, are shared among all the host cities, right? Making sure the appropriate personnel are in place, physical security for venues, and then things like cybersecurity, unmanned vehicles, airspace security, and VIPs. There will be presidents, there will be prime ministers, there will be folks like that who come to support their teams and watch their matches. And that's an interesting challenge because we were in touch with the Secret Service, who are very used to hosting those folks in DC and in New York and plan those things a long time in advance. But if a president or prime minister is coming, we won't know until December or January where those teams are playing. They won't know if they're making the knockout rounds or not. So it has to be a lot more flexible and a lot more responsive than an Olympics in one city or a state visit, something like that. I'll also add that Representative Larson is the ranking member, the top Democrat on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. So a lot of his work revolves around that. For our specific work, there are issues, there are opportunities with Seattle hosting that are unique. Seattle and Vancouver, both being host cities, is by far the closest pair of cities that cross a national border, either U.S.-Mexico or U.S.-Canada. The parallel we've heard is, if you consider the 6 matches here and the 7 matches in Vancouver, it's like 13 Taylor Swift concerts, which means lines at the border, but it means economic opportunity. It means we need to educate people that they are crossing a border. For some folks will be very familiar with crossing that border. U.S. fans, Canadian fans, that's not the concern or not the issue about education. It's fans from other countries. We have fans from European countries who you can drive from France to Spain, and they're both in the EU, and the border is just like a sign. We have to educate those kind of fans that no, this is a different kind of border, and you need to make sure your paperwork is in order. Part of that'll go with the ticketing, but there are fans who won't have tickets. This is also an opportunity for innovation on the border as well. I've seen some questions in the chat around transportation, and I think that's one of the great things about our region hosting the World Cup is there are other places where fans we just know are just going to drive to the matches. With matches at Lumen Field, with fan zones across the state, with matches in Vancouver, it's bus, it's rail, it's ferry, it's air, it's driving, it's light rail, it's regional transit. There are so many really cool opportunities here. So making sure that the resources are in place for creativity and the personnel are in place to execute those plans. I was comparing, for example, the other geographically close host city pairs, Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, Boston. There on Amtrak, there are 50, give or take, trains a day between those destinations. For Seattle and Vancouver, there's four trains a day. So how do we surge? How do we promote all the modes of transit to get people where they want to go? And that's critically important for the folks on the call too, because Snohomish County and also Skagit and Whatcom have the real opportunity to benefit as folks decide where they're going to stay to attend matches in both Vancouver and Seattle. Here are some upcoming milestones. We've run through these already. I'll just foot stomp one, which is July 4th, 2026 is the 250th anniversary of our country. So it's going to be a big 4th of July. I know the 4th of July is always a big party. It's going to be especially big in 2026. So that's something to be really, really excited about. and happy to answer any questions from the group and really appreciate being on this call. Thanks so much, everyone.
JG, thank you very much. And I also wanted to thank Congressman Larson, who visited with us on Friday and announced to us that $8.5 million has been secured for improvements to Payne Field. This is very good news for the soccer tournament that's coming up in 2026. So a big thanks to all of you and to our congressional leader. So we're going to relay some questions, and I want to first start with Tammy from a sports tourism perspective. How can Snohomish County best position itself to attract visitors during the World Cup, and what role does Snohomish County Sports Commission play in this effort?
Thank you, Ray. Great question. And listening to this question, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is creating partnerships and working collaboratively together. And that's from marketing strategies to understanding transportation, what transportation opportunities are out there, how do we all work together and meet. And I think the other big key is also working with Seattle FIFA World Cup 2026 LOC, Visit Seattle, even the Seattle Sports Commission, and then working with the state tourism. As Dylan mentioned, this is a statewide, and how do we all work together? And I think we're forming a committee. It's small right now. We'll be meeting here this week to work. How do we work collaboratively and strategically to attract the visitors? And what else is important, from transportation to economic development? So more to come on this, and we plan on having quarterly meetings like this coffee chat to inform the businesses in the city, and we want to be a resource.
Thank you. Juan, there's a question for you. With the anticipated increase in visitors, how is Sound Transit planning to accommodate the surge in transportation needs during the World Cup, and what improvements are being prioritized?
Yeah, thank you, Ray. I talked a little bit about this in the presentation. There's two main elements to this: is making sure that we're building out our planned system, because that'll provide additional capacity than is currently out there today. So once we extend our light rail south to Federal Way and across the lake, that'll improve the system as a whole. In addition to that, we are looking at what each of our modes is able to accommodate in terms of additional service that we can provide. There's a lot that goes into that, including partnerships with our operating partners. So more to come on that, but we are looking at each of our modes and what service we can provide that will accommodate the large crowds.
Thank you very much. Tyler, a question for you and City of Everett, the city that's quickly becoming the sports center of the state. How is the City of Everett preparing its infrastructure and public spaces to handle the influx of tourists, and what initiatives are in place to enhance the visitor experience?
Yeah, thanks for that question. And I'm cautious to answer it with a bit of hubris, but I will say we have lots of very large scale events that happen in Everett, and I think we do them and we manage them well from a safety and logistics and visitor experience standpoint. This is on a whole other level, so recognize that. And so we already have OEM folks and police looking at things from a kind of public safety lens. We're talking to our transit agency, we're talking to our tourism partners, and we're, right now we're really just preparing and identifying what we don't know. Like, here's the things we do well, here are the things that we don't know and we need to get answers for. I'll say that as we prepare, one thing we're really focused on, and you had asked us, you had alluded to the visitor experience, is working with our retailers and our hospitality and our restaurants and our tourism partners to sort of enhance that visitor experience, recognizing that everybody plays a role in the visitor experience. It's not just a responsibility of the destination marketing organization or the municipality, that every person who will interact with the visitor plays into that visitor experience. So we're just talking to each other, empowering, equipping. I do envision that we will have some kind of small business playbook similar to like what Dylan had alluded to, and resources like that coming out very shortly.
Thank you very much. This question is for Jay-Z. How is the soccer caucus in Congress working to support host cities like Snohomish County in their preparations for the World Cup 2026? And what legislative initiatives are currently in progress to facilitate this?
Thanks, Ray. Yeah, I touched on this a little in the PowerPoint, but it's coordination and communication. You know, we think we have a good sense of what the issues are and what the issues are that sort of have to be addressed federally, but working hand in hand with the host cities as a group, with Seattle in particular, and now that we know that Everett and Bellingham are hosting fan zones, building that and growing that partnership as well. Some of the specific initiatives include supplemental funding, which will principally go to personnel and security to help facilitate a safe and successful World Cup, and partnering on things like visas and federal issues, so that all those tourists that we're hoping for, all those tourists that can come and spend their money in Snohomish County, can show up. So that's the partnership. And then also looking for post World Cup on legacy. When folks buy those commemorative coins, that money will go to a national nonprofit, and making sure that that funding is directed to communities to maintain and build that legacy.
Thank you. And this question for Dylan, as a representative of the Seattle Sports Commission, what insights can you share on how neighboring regions are preparing for the World Cup, and how can Snohomish County collaborate with Seattle to maximize regional benefits?
So, you know, as we've established, this is a very large event. We've maintained that this event is of statewide significance and wanted to do what we can to ensure as many people as possible are able to participate, which Tammy reminded us all of. We have our fan zones, which are going to allow opportunity for 9 areas across the state to participate. I neglected to list them off before, so real quick. Those are Bellingham, Whatcom County, as you know, Everett, Snohomish County, Bremerton in Kitsap County, Tacoma in Pierce County, Olympia and Thurston County, Vancouver, Washington and Clark County, Yakima and Yakima County, Spokane County, and Tri-Cities in Benton Franklin County. So how are other regions preparing? Exactly what you're doing here today. Organize early. 505 days is not a long time. I first was exposed to World Cup 2026 back in 2017. So it's kind of terrifying that there are only, 505 days left to plan this massive event. So organize in your communities, market your area for your residents, for area residents, and for those 750,000 people coming to our state in the summer of 2026. I think that, the speakers today have outlined a great start, a great blueprint to ensure that folks here are plugged in and are able to, choose how they want to participate, to make sure that that you take full advantage and can share knowledge with others through your leaders, through Tammy and Tyler and Jay-Z and others to maximize those regional benefits and collaborate with other areas.
Thank you very much. And this is to all speakers, anyone who wants to weigh in on this. What specific industries in Snohomish County are expected to see more significant impact from World Cup, and how can local businesses best prepare to capitalize on this event? And I would tell you that the Alliance stands ready to help and support those businesses as we get closer. So anyone on the panel that would like to take a swing at that, please go ahead.
Ray, this is Tammy. I'll take a swing at it because I know there's a lot of conversation and questions asked, and how others can be involved in and the impact. And I think, Everett's a fan zone, but, there's going to be a community playbook, and that is, I think, how others throughout our community can be involved. And I'll just use an example in regards to restaurants. Is allowing, to promote the World Cup within your own restaurant, for the customers and patrons and air the soccer matches. Offer specials to encourage your patrons to dine in at the restaurant. I think also, you know, the Chamber of Commerce, they come into play as well. So there's a way to plan an event party. And I like to say an event party rather than a fan zone party, just to be, you know, just to keep the not so that people aren't confused. So I think there's a lot of ways within the community and how to get those support. And I think it also goes down to your local soccer clubs, getting the kids involved and being able to play soccer.
Juan, just a question regarding Sound Transit. How are you integrating sustainability into the planning for World Cup, and what measures are being taken to ensure there's a positive environmental impact?
No, that's a great question, Ray. So I think first of all, it's just encouraging people to take transit. Transit is one of the most sustainable modes out there. So the more people on transit, the better it will be from a sustainability point of view. I think the local organizing committee hosted a summit last year with some of the transportation agencies, sustainability summit last year. And my understanding that there's something in the works for this year as well. So we're looking to partner with them and with our regional cohort to make sure that we are implementing sustainability strategies that are consistent across. Not only that just makes sense for Sound Transit. On the Sound Transit side, we are looking as to how sustainability does show up in some of our plans that we, at a very high level, we've just started some discussions, but nothing into the details. So that is probably where I can go.
Yeah, you know, the other thing I'm thinking too, we probably need to understand what rail opportunities are available from Washington State into Canada. So that's something we probably need to put on our agenda as well. And
Ray, I believe Dylan, did you want to chime in there?
Oh, no, that's okay. It was I was just gonna note how between Seattle and Vancouver, BC, we're trying to outgreen each other and be more sustainable and mitigate our impacts. And so my colleagues on the LOC have more detail. But just know, I know that there have been some questions in the chat and been kind of discussed here today that you know, we are doing everything we can to make sure that our region's values are reflected in the work that we're doing. You know, FIFA has their standards on certain things, and we're trying to obviously raise the bar. So, you know, absolutely want to make sure that people are using as much transportation as possible. We're very proud that our partners at Lumen Field are almost a zero waste facility. That's something that they've been nationally recognized for. So we're hoping to replicate those enhance that and replicate it where possible. So there are areas where we are working on this, and I can provide more detail down the road.
excellent. So Tyler, just another question for City of Everett. How is the city engaging with local businesses and residents to ensure a collaborative approach to World Cup readiness, and what feedback have you received so far?
I'll start with feedback. I would say that it is a high level of being very, very, very stoked with a respectable amount of terror and reverence for the volume of people that we're going to have. Our collaboration at this point, you know, we're working with our new Everett Chamber, Downtown Everett Association. We've had some initial really high level conversations with partners on Casino Road and the Everett Station District Alliance. So really working also with the Economic Alliance and county, and really all of our partners. Our direct sort of business outreach will start here in the coming months. And so businesses and residents will have an opportunity to participate through surveys. There'll be community open houses and public forums where they can come and learn and kind of share their ideas. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about with collaboration, and this kind of gets to a question that you had asked earlier about what specific industries. I think our hospitality industry, this is going to be just amazing for the hospitality industry and for the hotels, and it's going to generate significant amount of money in lodging taxes. And I think, you know, I sit on the TPA board, which is the lodging tax fund, and just thinking about how we creatively use lodging tax funds to empower the small businesses and micro enterprises so that they can get in on the action, because all of that is what's going to feed into the visitor experience. And the best marketing that we have for our region are visitors who have come here and had a great time and will go back to where they live and tell folks how great Snohomish County is. So I think collaborating on that is really important. And one other thing I do want to mention is kind of collaboration with the tribes too, particularly here in Snohomish County and the Tulalip tribes, and making sure that they have a seat at the table and are getting in on the action with us. They play a huge role in kind of tourism and tourism product here. And obviously it's their ancestral homelands. And so starting to have those conversations as well.
Yeah, that's terrific. I'm glad to hear that. Jay-Z, what federal resources or programs are available to help local communities like Snohomish County maximize the economic and infrastructural benefits of hosting World Cup related events? And how can local stakeholders effectively engage with these opportunities?
First of all, I want to say that we are in Rep. Larson's office, ready, willing, and able, standing by to help. Not just the Seattle Host Committee, but in Rep. Larson's district, which is Snohomish, Skagit, Whatcom, Island, and San Juan counties. Generally speaking, I think this is a statewide hosting responsibility, and the Seattle Host Committee is playing an important role in coordinating and making sure those resources get out. Not just to the city of Seattle, not just to King County, not just to the area around Lumen Field, but to help maximize the benefit. In terms of what the federal government brings to the table, in addition to supplemental appropriations, which we're pushing for here in Congress, there are some capabilities that really exist at the federal level, for everything from like dogs for security to counter UAS. There are some unique federal capabilities that we want to make sure get where they need to go, so that the hosting can be success. And like Tyler said, that when folks go back home, they tell the world that they had a great time. They saw a match in Seattle, and then they spent 2 weeks in the Pacific Northwest, and in the US, in Canada, in the Cascades, in the Olympics, in the San Juans, you name it. And how much they loved that they had they were staying at a hotel in Everett because it was easy to get to matches in Seattle, and it was easy to get to matches in Vancouver because passing through the border was a breeze because of all the federal work that went into. So that's what the federal government's going to bring to the table, and that's what Rep. Larson is going to really focus on. Thanks.
So I know we're getting short on time. I want to pose this question to all the speakers, and we can certainly provide your responses online. But looking beyond World Cup, how can the preparations and investments that are made for this event be leveraged for long-term benefits to Snohomish County's economy and infrastructure? So we don't need to answer that today, but I want to pose that question and give it some thought, and we can provide those answers online. I want to thank everyone for your active participation and thoughtful discussions today. We've seen the World Cup 2026 offers unparalleled opportunities in Snohomish County, but it's our collective effort and strategic planning that will determine our success. And I encourage each of you to stay engaged, continue the conversations, and bring these unique experiences to the table as we move forward. Together, we can make Snohomish County a standout destination to World Cup. And I would just say real quickly before we show these slides, as a parent of a soccer player who played year-round, and we put 50,000 miles on the car every year, going to different events and flying to Germany and around the country, to see soccer explode like this in our country, we all knew the time would come, but it's so very, very exciting. So let's go through these slides. I think let me start with this first slide here. So before we go to enjoy our program today, we'd like to encourage you to sign up for Economic Alliance Snohomish County's email list receive the latest news and advocacy and economic development, plus updates on events and programming like this. To sign up, scan the QR code on your screen and visit economicalliance.sc.org. That's economicalliancesc.org. On February 25th, join us again for our next installment of Coffee Chats, during which we'll be joined by representatives from the Federal Reserve Bank and Center for Economic and Business Research at Western Washington University, who will share expert insights on the region's economic outlook for 2025, covering key industry trends, market shifts, and potential growth areas in Snohomish County. And again, you can register with the QR code on the screen. To conclude, please join me in raising your coffee cups. I guess it's early in the morning, so that's all we'll raise. As we get ready to adjust, I want to see all of your faces. Let's raise our coffee cups to cheers one another in a great discussion this morning. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.